Now, this is the review where we critically evaluate literature and different art forms from books, movies, TV shows, and even artworks. Today, we turn our attention to theatre production based on Ronnie Kasril's book, The Unlikely Secret Agent. The year is 1963 in South Africa. The country is on a knife edge. Political protests, sabotage and violence have engulfed the country. Under the state of emergency, the feared special branch of the police arrests anyone suspected of being involved in underground activities. The plot focuses on Eleanor, an unassuming young single mother who's arrested in Griggs Bookstore, where she works in Durban, and taken in for questioning. Police are on the hunt for her lover, the notorious terrorist, Ronnie Kasrils. He joins us now alongside the director, Paul du Toit. A very good morning to you. Thank you so much for your time. Ronnie Kasrils, of course, we know you from your political activism and the work that you've done. And this book really almost is like a thrilling story of a very courageous woman at a frightening time in South Africa's history. Let's talk about the book to the play.
Yeah, well, I wrote the book a few months after Eleanor died in 2009. We were living down in the Cape. And, of course, I was writing about events 1960 to 63 in Durban when we were both pretty young. You know, as you've said, it was a very hectic period. But it was absolutely embedded indelibly in my mind because Eleanor and I had lived through that very dramatic time, and we talked about it very often. So I knew it from A to Z and Z back to A. I'd actually encouraged her to write the story, but it was traumatic for her. Even all those years later, on her death, it was a trauma and a catharsis. I wrote it in 6 weeks flat. It's a slim volume, of course, and it's about her, this ordinary, unassuming, liberal Durban art student, single parent, little girl of 5 years old. And we fell in love. I was very political from Sharpeville time. I was already in the ANC liberation movement. Mandela forming Umkhonto weSizwe after Sharpeville massacre went for the ANC and the movement. There was just no possibility of peaceful change. And there was the turn with Umkhonto weSizwe to sabotage, not to injure people in that sabotage campaign, which started in 61, basically snuffed out in 63 with the Rivonia arrests, Mandela, Sisulu, Mbeki, Kathrado, Dennis Goldberg, etc. We'd carried out a number of sabotage operations. She had pressurized me, realizing I was up to something, and wanted to be part of it. She had this change through meeting my friends, a lot of African and Indian comrades, young people like us in the Durban area. And she started by being our driver, dropping us off at points where we brought down a couple of pylons, plunged the city into darkness, bombed the special branch office after dark, and people were being rounded up, brutally treated, tortured, and so on. So they were able to get onto the track of those who had evaded arrest. And through Eleanor's cleverness, very practical person, the daughter of a Scots engineer, so she knew all the things that numbskulls like I and others didn't. And she was working in a bookstore, and she was assisting us as an unlikely secret agent. This is from the lovely program of this excellent play that Paul du Toit has written. So just to give you an idea, that's Eleanor, who is actually blonde, but I don't want to give too much away, had to go into disguise and cut her hair short and had it dyed black, and the police, it's not giving things away because this is what the play is about, the police suspected that she knew where I was hiding, and they arrest her in Griggs, the local bookstore, and she's dragged off to the House of Truth, Huis van Waarheid, and that's where the interrogation begins, and she's subject to this incredible pressure. And that's how
Mr. Kasrils, I'd like to bring Paul into the conversation. You telling a really exciting story. Paul, a woman who had to have a complete image overhaul, cut her hair from blonde to dark, and really a complete makeover. A riveting storyline with a really strong character at a frightening time in South Africa's history. How then did you go and convert an entire book into a play with all the elements? I mean, by one review that I read, it was described as a thriller almost, telling the South African...
It's very much in a sort of, in that sort of, written in the thriller genre. Well, I wouldn't say written in it. The narrative just fits that sort of fiction genre, but of course it's a real story. As a dramatist, my job was made quite easy because I was given this amazing story. All I had to do was to try and find a way of adapting it to the stage, and to try, for me, my aim was to try and capture who the woman was as a human being, what the human side to that story was, and to show the beautiful, gentle, demure, very unlikely secret agent that she was, and then to accurately portray what happened behind the walls of this detention center and what the security branch police officers were able and allowed to do under the guise of their job and fighting for the country. BJ Foster had become Minister of Justice. Ronnie must help me here. And he made the job for the security branch much, much easier and a lot less consequent for them. So I think some people may find moments of what we do fairly shocking, but it was. And I think it's very important that these stories are told. You know, things like this can't be forgotten. Only if we know where we've come from can we try and work out a path where we need to go.
And let's talk about some of the characters that you roped in here and the time that it took to rehearse the scenes and really centralize it around the very important elements of the book.
Well, I was first mandated to write a one-woman play by Erica Maria, the producer, who brought this book to me. And to my shame, I have to admit that I had never heard the story before. Obviously, I knew Ronnie. Everybody knows Ronnie. But I had never read this book, heard the story about his wife before. Erica gave it to me, and I set out to write one-woman play, but then I discovered these are incredible characters. And I speak about them as if they're fictional characters. These were real people. You know, there was obviously the police officers who interrogated her. And then I thought, okay, let me put them in. And then suddenly I realized, but I've got these 4 male characters who can play all these other characters that come into the story over the 3 years of the story. And so it was a lockdown project. I met Ronnie via Zoom for the first time during lockdown. Obviously read the book, spoke to him, got some more personal insights for him, and then, sat down at my computer and started hammering out a story. We went through about 19 drafts before our first rehearsal, and then continued to change because it's a big journey from novel to stage. Not that it's a novel; it's of course a true account, but it's a completely different art form. So we had to take words written on paper and find a way for them to work in the spoken mouth and as an actor. So
okay. And very quickly, how do audiences get to see this play?
They can go to, the booking is all online, www.dramafactory.co.za. It's on from the 10th, well, has started already, to the 20th. All social distancing protocols apply, masks are worn, people are sanitized when they come in, temperatures are taken, so we take the pandemic very seriously, so people can rest assured that they'll be safe.
Very well. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for your time. Former Cabinet Minister Ronnie Kasrils and Director Paul du Toit speaking about a thrilling, riveting storyline there, as, of course, the book has now been converted into a play. That, of course, something to really look forward to, and some powerful lessons when it comes to the history of South Africa.